What's in the new federal budget and how does it affect real estate in Toronto? Hey everyone, it's Lawrence Mack here, real estate broker out of Mississauga and Toronto, and I'm here to cover the new federal budget 2022. So the budget is pretty comprehensive and they have a lot of features in it. So I cherry picked a few of the different items that I thought really impacted real estate, and so I can go through those. There's a lot of other things that do affect real estate. These are the things that are major in my opinion. So the first one is a tax-free home savings account. So the tax-free home savings account, which is called the FHSA, will allow first-time home buyers to save up to $40,000 by using tax-deductible contributions. What this means is that you can take the money that you're going to put into a similar to an RSP and reduce your taxable income, and then save it into a bank account that you could use later to buy a home. There's a few different criteria for it, which is it's only eligible for people who are younger than 40. You can only put $8,000 a year in it per year, and it's limited to only $40,000 lifetime. I feel that this particular savings account, is better than nothing really. At the end of the day, it is $40,000 that helps, but it is limited to only $8,000 per year, which means to fully take advantage of this, a buyer will have to put in money over a 5-year period and then use it. Also, since it is similar to the RSP, is really lowering your taxable amount, which means if you're at the top tax bracket, maybe 50% savings. And so maybe this is worth $20,000 for the people who could fully use it for the 5 years. I don't think it's going to make a huge dent in everything in terms of the amount of affordability. It will help some people with additional money, but at the end of the day, it just means that the house that they end up buying, another person doesn't buy it. And so it really is just trading one buyer for another. So the main issue, in my opinion, is about the inventory levels and increasing supply because there's a significant demand. At the end of the day, this helps a bit. Number 2, the Housing Accelerator Fund. So the Housing Accelerator Fund, the federal government will fund more than $10 billion towards speeding up construction and repairs, which includes $4 billion over 5 years for CMHC to launch the Housing Accelerator Fund, which is for the creation of 100,000 new housing units, about $3 billion to create about 4,300 new units, and about $1.5 billion over 2 years to increase supply by 6,000 affordable housing units. In general, I don't exactly know what's in here, although they've committed a lot of money. Time will tell whether or not it's useful at all. It seems like in this particular case, they're just throwing money at the problem. And I don't know if their estimates of, for example, $4 billion for 100,000 units, if the $40,000 per housing unit is suddenly going to open up all the supply. I'm a little cynical, I guess, in terms of bureaucracy and how well the money could be used, but at least it's a step in the right direction that they're trying to do something with the housing market. It's a little bit difficult, especially if it's federal, because a lot of the housing falls under provincial. And so many of these kind of things that they're trying to do is not really in their jurisdiction. The things such as giving incentives for municipalities or provinces to increase the housing supply, I'm not exactly sure how they're going to do that. Like maybe they just give money to the city or something and start building. But a lot of it has to do with, zoning, for instance, Greenbelt, or the red tape to build things quicker. That is one of the issues in terms of supply. So I don't know if the federal government has the levers to press or to push for those particular issues, but at least they're trying something. Number 3, the ban on foreign buyers. So they propose a 2-year ban on all foreign buyers. What this means is that any foreign commercial enterprise or people who are not Canadian citizens or permanent residents, they cannot buy a house. And it's also for just the acquisition of non-recreational residential properties. What this means basically is that foreigners or foreign corporations can't buy residential properties in Canada. Now, whether or not this is good or not, it's hard to say. My personal opinion is that the foreign buyers made up a small percentage anyway. The estimates out there are less than 5%. In Toronto especially, I'm not sure if freeing up less than 5% is really going to do that, especially when there's a lot of loopholes around it. It's not just that they can't buy it. For example, students can still buy homes, that kind of thing. So it seems like there's still a lot of loopholes, but it sounds good on paper. I'm not really sure if it'll make a significant dent in the supply and demand curve for everybody in Canada. And the other problem that I see here would be if we ban a lot of foreign buyers to buy things in Canada, that means other countries might do the same thing with us. For example, if you wanted to buy a home in California or Florida, New York, if they decide to retaliate the US, for instance, and say, hey, you can't buy any houses here, is this a good or bad thing for us? I'm not really sure. That's where it is now in terms of the ban on foreign buyers. Number 4, anti-flipping laws. So in terms of the anti-flipping laws, I thought these are very, very good introductions in terms of laws that they're going to put in. To ensure the profits from flipping properties are taxed fully, these are the two rules to look out for. So the first rule is that sellers who hold the property for less than 12 months will now be subject to the full taxation of the profits as business income. What this means is previously people who were flipping would basically buy a property and then sell it very, very quickly afterwards. They were, I guess, claiming capital gains or maybe primary residence or some other things. Now they're actually going to charge them for the full amount, which is 100% of the profit, which in my opinion is very, very good. In the past, maybe capital gains is like taxed at 50%, so it's slightly different, but now they're going after them, so that's great for that. The second one, which isn't really covered that much in the media, but it's something that's really, really important and will probably shake up the pre-construction market. People who are selling on assignment after January 1st are now going to be subject to the full GST HST. So in the past, a lot of people had ideas. I mean, assignments are a very, very gray kind of market right now in that a lot of things aren't really fully defined, at least on paper. So now they've actually defined it to say, whatever the reason, if you're going to sell the assignment, you're going to be charged HST. So previously people would say, oh, I was going to buy it for myself and then, or buy it for my son or daughter, and then they're going to go to U of T, and then now they're not going anymore. So now we're assigning it and blah, 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 whatever reason that they have. And then they didn't really get taxed on that in terms of the HST. And also they probably may not even have claimed, capital gains or that kind of stuff, or in that case, full business income. I've heard anecdotally that there were realtors and other type of advice people were getting that actually you don't have to pay any tax on any assignment. You should probably go check with your CPA to see if that is accurate or not. I'm not a CPA, but I highly recommend that you make sure that you're covered from a tax point of view. I've heard of some very large tax penalties, in the 6 digits kind of thing, because of people who did it incorrectly and then bought a place, flipped on assignment, whatever it is, and they had a lot of issues down the road because of both HST and because of business income, that kind of stuff. So take a look at that. But this particular thing is going to be very, very interesting, especially if the date that they have set is January 1st, 2023. It means that there might be a lot of assignments coming down really, really quickly in the next 6 to 8 months that people are trying to sell as soon as possible. So there might be some opportunity there. And then in the long term, people who originally thought I'm just going to buy something and assign it right before selling, now it may not be as profitable for them to do so. Something else to think about, but I thought these are actually two very, very good laws to bring in. And lastly, we have the Home Buyers Bill of Rights. So the Home Buyers Bill of Rights, the Minister of Housing and Diversity and Inclusion will develop a Home Buyers Bill of Rights over the next year. $5 million has been allocated to CMHC for these efforts. So right now, there's no particular law, but they are looking at making a Home Buyers Bill of Rights. And the issues that they're really covering are things like blind bidding, waived home inspection, transparency for sales prices. Actual details we'll know when we actually see them. I don't like the direction that they're going. They're really, for example, blind bidding. I mean, whether you like it or not, for transparency for bidding, there's one thing. For example, if introducing blind bidding increases your prices by a lot, is that good for you or is that bad? Or, I mean, are you just complaining as a buyer about the actual process, or are you complaining about the final result of the pricing? Banning blind bidding may not give you lower pricing. It might give you even higher pricing. That's kind of debatable right now, but only time will tell whether or not they'll give you more money or less money. Similarly, waived home inspections. I don't know how they're going to make a law for this. It's, for example, you need to have a home inspection by law. But then the person with the highest bid says, you know what, we're going to waive for home inspection. Like, now what happens? You're basically trying to regulate a whole bunch of decisions that either buyers or sellers want to make. I think it will be difficult. You never know. Unless they mandate home inspections must 100% be done on every single home that you're trying to sell, then maybe that would work. But I personally don't like it. I don't like it when government really, really gets involved with the buyers and the seller's decision. They're basically telling you how to do business from a buying and selling point of view, but maybe you do. So maybe it works for you. This one, transparency for sales prices. There is transparency for sales prices. You can either see it online or you can buy it. There's a lot of reports as well. So I'm not exactly sure what they're talking about here. Unless they're talking about different jurisdictions, that might be possible too. But in Ontario, for instance, there are a lot of applications out there where you can take a look at the sold prices. And there's also ways you can purchase the purchase reports to see how much it sold for. So I'm not exactly sure what this one is about. But again, time will tell. They are going to investigate this over the next year. Maybe it'll be very good. Maybe it won't be very good. Who knows? So that's a conclusion with the 5 major points about the federal budget. If you have any questions about it, please reach out to me at any time at 416-276-4895. I mean, there's a lot of things that they are trying to change. It really should be more related to increasing supply. You can't really do much with demand. I mean, if you're going to increase immigration, for instance, by a whole bunch of people, and everybody still wants to upgrade their house or buy their first home, there's so much demand out there. Just legislating like more house creation isn't really going to help. You have to put a lot of money in it. You're probably going to have to change a lot of different red tape and a lot of different laws in terms of the creation of these type of housing. And just making these kind of things, for example, with investors, it doesn't help housing. For instance, if you increase all of those laws so that for all of the investors are out of the picture, you no longer have any renters. So where are all these renters going to live? Typically speaking, the renters go and rent from maybe like a first time investor kind of stuff that has a condo downtown, and then you can live in it. But if all of those investors are gone, then there's nowhere for anyone to rent. And then where does everyone go? These are very, very difficult questions, and it's a complex answer to everything. And it needs to have cooperation between the three different levels of government. But in any case, if you have any questions, just reach out to me anytime. All right, Lawrence Mack, real estate broker out of Mississauga and Toronto. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.